Thank you all. It's an honor to be here. Today, I'm thrilled to share our vision for the future.
Okay, good morning, everybody, to our last health-related event in January as a back end of JP Morgan, where we had a wonderful interaction. You see actually on my backdrop our very active event. And by the way, if you do interviews, it doesn't really mean that you always have to be serious. To see actually former vice president of Novo Nordisk be with me, and we both have a very good time talking about important subject matters. So what I'm today want to show left of me here on the screen pinned for everybody is Casey. Casey is the founder of Pitch Global, and he and I have made major strides in the past, and I'm the CEO of the Pitch Global Group. Why group? Because we are actually several different organizations. You see, for example, the Pitch Global logo to my left, and the Pitch Global CVC accelerator on my right. And I just don't want to overextend the time. Everybody is eager to start pitching today. But our online event, the last one, and we are having very good people participating, and we introduced actually new methodologies to important investors in the CVC world, and that's what you're seeing currently rolling up. I just go quickly through it to actually show everybody what we are actually doing. You see interview pictures. Dirk Scheppler, hi Dirk, you're also today on the meeting, the CEO of Niterra Group. We have here Dong-Soo Kim, founder and CEO of LG Technology Ventures. Richard Bull of DLA Piper, and very welcome ecosystem partner. And this video is available for everybody to view online. So I'm stopping it here and go back to our meeting. And I wish everybody a great time. CVC Accelerator. We have some early members like Peter Lee Kari from Animate Bio. They can talk about their reasons why they actually have joined CVC Accelerator. It's an annual membership fee-based environment, but Pitch Global is going all in and all out for all of our members to make you find your money, find your voice in the very busy world of investment and company presentations. And Casey and I, just to say this, over 8 years, 4,500 pitches we were vetting. About 10% have been mentored, and the success speaks for itself. We have north of $1 billion raised, and over half of it is in conjunction with the state of California. And we are very well tracked. There are success stories on NorCal SBDC. And with this, I hand over the floor to Casey. Casey, welcome today. Welcome the audience. And he is your master of ceremony today for everything that is happening going forward. Thank you so much.
Axel, thanks very much. And Axel also used to be CEO of RVC CVC Fund on Sandal Road, and he has brought all his luster to really raise the bar. And what we are doing with partners like DLA Piper is we are also hosting CVC thought leadership events. And we have also started Silicon Valley Access PTE in Singapore with very well connected advisor of government of Singapore and Taiwan. And she hosts meetings and events during Super Return Week in Singapore. So we also are attracting LPGP CVCs in addition to entrepreneurs. We want to be one of the leading network of CVCs, VCs, government funding, family funding, entrepreneurs in the world. And we are foot in the door. And today's event is a shared collective experience which will give you a glimpse of the potential we can all co-create by being in a circle, in the circle of trust, and elevating each other to higher levels. So on that note, I am really excited to introduce our entrepreneur in residence for MedTech and Pharma, Rachna Dayal, who is her claim to fame is she interviewed the AI head of NIH in an event for Alliance Indus Foundation, where I'm secretary and board member. This was in U.S. House of Congress not too long ago. And it's my pleasure to hand over the floor again to Rachna, who is the founder of Sugati Ventures and was in Johnson and Johnson for over a decade. She is going to interview Dr. Joanne Coates, who is partnership lead for NIH's division, who handling SBIR and SBTR. So Rachna, thanks for being such an amazing contributor and mentor to our ecosystem. And I hand over the floor to you.
Thank you, Casey. I like myself when you introduced me, but I have to be very honest, everyone. We were able to get to the chief AI officer for NIH because of Dr. Jane Croix, who's actually with us today, and she's agreed to give us her time, educate us a little bit on everything that NIH supports our entrepreneurs with. So I'll do one line of my quick background. I'm an engineer by training, a systems and semiconductor engineer, and who pivoted to healthcare. So I couldn't make up my mind, so I fell in love with both technology and healthcare, which is great because we're now living through an era where technology is really lifting healthcare, and we're seeing the world evolve through human health, but also other things in AI and deep tech and semiconductors. With that, I do want to take some time to introduce our special guest, Dr. Jane Croix. Dr. Croix actually has a very stellar career behind her before she decided to come into public service and dedicate her career to supporting human health and population health to NIH. She started her career as a scientist and a researcher, but then she's also worked in big strategic organizations like Medtronic and Microslet and world actually across the globe. I mean, if you look at her career, she's worked for organizations in Japan, in US, in Netherlands, spanning multiple, continents and not just countries. And that really, I think, enables her to have such an open-minded view on human health and contribute greatly to population health. Because when you look at the US population, we're such a heady mix of cultures and demographics and genetic mixes from around the world. So I think with that, I want to, mention that she's now the partnership and engagement lead for National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. And I would love to welcome you, Dr. 𝐏𝐫𝐢𝐯𝐚. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachna, and the organizers, Axel, as well as 𝐏𝐫𝐢𝐯 for inviting us for this program. It's really, really happy to be here because as Rachna, and thank you for the kind introduction to Rachna. As you indicated, NIH has a vested interest in supporting translational programs, small businesses. So, for example, I come from the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. We have an office called Innovation and Commercialization Office dedicated to overseeing our translational programs. So these are programs where we invest with non-dilutive funding to help the ideas and technologies move from bench to bedside. And so these are programs, we have a number of different programs. And of course, the main one, SBIR-STTR, is currently not active. So I won't be speaking much about that. But we have a number of companies we fund through these programs, as well as other translational programs. And in addition to the funding, offices like ours provide a lot of support for entrepreneurs to be successful in the commercial world of bringing life science technologies to the patients and the healthcare system, because we know money alone is not enough, right? You need a lot more entrepreneurship-related support. You need product development support. And so that's where the programs we develop are focusing on all these areas to help the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So I'm happy to be here and help talk about our programs and how we can bring value to the community. And in turn, for us especially, some of our programs, we are very much interested in supporting them even after the NIH seed funding stage. And that's where we are interested in bringing our companies to the front of investors like yours and platforms like this. So happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And some programs are better known than the others, right? And I feel like there's so many pearls left out on the table that people might have never heard about. And one such program comes to my mind where, I mentioned it to one of the entrepreneurs and they were like, what is that program? So I would love to ask you to share a couple of thoughts on the Catalyze program, for example. I don't know how many people have heard about it.
Absolutely. So I'm sure everybody knows this. NIH is a large ecosystem, right? We have 27 institutes and centers, and out of that, 24 out of these 27 participate in supporting translational research. And NHLBI, for example, National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, our primary interests are in cardiovascular, pulmonary, blood, and sleep-related areas. And I brought up that because 𝐏𝐫𝐤𝐯𝐬 is a program within our institute's mission. So it's an NHLBI program, but there are other institutes who have similar programs. So I want you to have that awareness and open mind about that. So 𝐏𝐫𝐤𝐯 is a translational program, again, focused on let's support early stage researchers with their ideas and provide them with all the resources they need in addition to the funding resources to bring these research ideas from early stage through preclinical development, through regulatory interactions, and bring them closer to the commercial stage, commercial readiness or investor readiness stage. So that's the scope of the program. And in fact, 𝐏𝐫𝐤𝐯 is currently looking at applications so that interest for applications, letters of interest can be submitted now. And it's open to different types of technologies, drugs, devices, digital health. But important thing to remember is that those technologies have to be within our institute's mission focus. But there are similar programs, for example, if you're working with technologies that are related to neurovascular diseases, neurologic diseases, or stroke, National Institutes of Neurological Disorders called NINDS has similar programs like 𝐏𝐫𝐤𝐯, and it's called, let me refresh my memory, it's called Blueprint Neurotherapeutics Program. So other agencies have programs too. So I hope this helps.
No, it does. No, it does. And I always encourage entrepreneurs to go and have a conversation directly with the NIH leaders from different, verticals. I myself have gone and exchanged emails with leaders from for gut microbiome, right? I was looking at something for gut microbiome for women's health. I was looking at a company, and I found a couple of entrepreneurs finding it hard to say, oh, I can't write an email to an NIH leader. They won't respond. And so I went ahead, I wrote the email with them on CC, and I got a response back within like 24 hours. And I was like, no, this whole notion that the government agencies don't communicate with entrepreneurs is, I don't know where it's based. Maybe it's based out of experiences from 15, 20 years ago, but that certainly is not the case today. So it really helps entrepreneurs to familiarize themselves with different institutes, as Dr. Jain mentioned, looking at what the request for fund, what the calls for submissions are focused on. You can understand the focus areas of the entire agency if you bring them together in terms of population health. So I will always encourage entrepreneurs to go and have conversations themselves.
Absolutely. And so you want to reach out to the program officers. So every institute, and again, I'm happy to share more information after this meeting offline. Feel free to reach out to me. If you know, okay, I'm working in the aging space, then you may want to reach out to a program officer in National Institute of Aging or neurologic, as I mentioned, NINDS. So when you go to the NIH website or Reporter, that's another tool where you can find the name of the program officer who may be interested in working with technologies that you are working with. So in any case, you want to reach out to the program officers in each institute to get to their desk and get the right feedback for your application.
No, thank you, Dr. Jain, for that. And yeah, I wanted to say, please reach out to either Dr. Jain directly, or if you want to reach out to Axel and Casey to reach out and for making a connection to NIH, please let them know, and we will make sure that we direct you accordingly. Thank you for 𝐏𝐫𝐤𝐯. I know you have a lot of other entrepreneurial resources you focus on, right? Besides just the funding. The funding is obviously a big part of the programs, but it takes more than just the check for startups to succeed. And I would love for you to think about the top 3. I know you have many programs, but what would be the top 3 ones that you feel like make a huge difference in taking an idea and making it commercializable?
Wow, yes, that's a very good question. Thank you. I'll in fact start with, one of the early stage programs or programs that can help an early stage entrepreneur, especially if you're coming from an academic setting, right? You may have a brilliant idea, but to take that idea from that research stage and translate that and bring it to the commercial readiness stage, it takes a lot of business savviness, a lot of other skills. And so one program that's especially valuable in that respect is called Innovation Corps or I-Corps. And this program, in fact, was launched by the National Science Foundation, NSF, about 15 years ago. And the purpose was essentially to bridge the gap between early stage fundamental science and the commercial success. And this is a very extensive program. There are a lot of mentoring and entrepreneurs working with the innovator. And it provides you with the hands-on training and business skills you need. For example, your idea may be great on the paper, but does it have a market value? Is there a demand for that product, right? And so this program will take you through an intensive, rigorous customer discovery process where you meet with, in our case, for example, in the life science sector, you meet with clinicians, talk with clinicians and payers to understand the market need and the real world demand for your product, so that as an entrepreneur, you can make, at the end of this process, when you finish this process, you can make informed decisions on, is it really worth going ahead with this idea, or should I pivot to a different approach? And so I-Corps is a great program through NSF. Since NSF started it, it has helped thousands of teams and helped many successful ventures. And NIH has recently adopted that program, and we offer it through the NIH seed office. So that's definitely one of the top programs you want to have on your list if you're an early stage entrepreneur and need that business skills, entrepreneurship training. And we also have many programs, in fact, especially to help with the technical and business support you need for your technology to bring to the commercial stage. One of them, for example, I mentioned, remember, NIH always funds early stage research, high risk, high reward technologies, right? Innovative technologies, but they are too early for investors or partners. And that's a stage NIH likes to fund these technologies. So that with the NIH funding, which is non-dilutive funding, companies are able to do sufficient research and development work and bring the technology with that de-risked stage to innovators, investors, and partners. So that's our goal. And our support, in fact, doesn't end with that seed funding we provide. We have programs where we send our companies, our funded innovators, to conferences, both investor conferences as well as scientific conferences, where you get to pitch your ideas, just like in this particular platform, right? But recently, we decided to take that to another level, and we have developed an AI-driven partnering platform where innovators and investors who are interested in investing in particular space, whether it's cardiovascular or whether it is aging or high tech, however it is, if they are in the life science investment space, they can join this platform through a secure portal, and they will have access to all the NIH funded, and in our case right now, all the NHLBI funded technologies would be accessible on that platform. So you can, if you're an investor, you can quickly use the AI module and filter and identify technologies that fit your investment thesis. And so this is a great platform where innovators can access and connect with investors directly. And we also have, in fact, on this platform, made it available for our companies, the innovators, to have access to a lot of commercialization focused reports. What is analysis and reports that help you understand what is the competition of your technology? What are the risks? What's the IP landscape, or what's the clinical landscape for the product you're developing? All those information you can gather from the reports we provide. We call them commercialization reports. So our innovators have access to these reports, and they can use the information from that to position themselves and to have conversation with investors when they connect with them, with the clear understanding and awareness of, okay, this is the stage I am in, and these are the risks I'm ready to take or I'm working on addressing, and engage in conversations to facilitate follow-on funding and partnerships needed to bring your technology to the commercial stage. So that's one of the recent programs that we launched. And in addition, we have several funding programs that help you with commercialization aspects of your technology. And again, these are very general terms I'm using here. Feel free to reach out after this meeting for specifics and details.
No, thank you so much. That's a lot of information, and I think quite a few topics are new to people. Dr. Jain, I was wondering if we could create like a link to the platform that you were mentioning where investors can go and check out startups in different areas. If we could compile like a message for our entrepreneurs and investors as a follow-up from this event, we'd be very happy to send that around to the people who've signed up for today's event. Casey, do you think that would be a good idea?
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. And I also have a question. So can I ask that? Dr. Jain, thank you for your illuminating talk. We know we want to learn a little bit more about private-public partnership. We know Johnson & Johnson's Blue Knight, which is they have a joint venture with BARDA. We know Angela Spex, who was in our Capitol Hill event. We know Rachel, who used to head it before, and she heads J Labs now. So is this BARDA Blue Knight, is it more like a exception or is it a norm? Or we have others here like leaders from Niterra, leaders from LabCorp investments here on this call. If they want to create public-private partnerships, what is your guidance to them?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. In fact, it's not an anomaly. It is a norm, and many of our agencies have public-private partnerships. And if I'm sure you probably have heard from one of our NIH director, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya's recent talks, that translation and implementation science, making sure that the technologies we invest in get to the hands of the patients who are in most need of those technologies. That has become a clear priority of the agency. And so public-private partnerships and other mechanisms to engage with third parties, it's integrated across the agency. In fact, the program that I mentioned that is not active at the moment, SBIR STTR program, had that component in it. And so But there are other programs too that we are developing focused on public-private partnerships.
Great. Thank you, Rachna. Any last question?
I'm done with the questions, but
Great.
really, really grateful. If anybody has any questions, please ask now. If something comes to your mind later, please direct it to Casey and Axel, and we'll
Yeah.
redirect it to Dr. Jain. Dr. Jain, thank you so much for taking time today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's been my pleasure, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jain. We at Pitch Global, we are huge evangelists in empowering entrepreneurs, health entrepreneurs to meet with non-traditional health investors, people coming from other corporates like tech. We had Niterra, Turk Shuttler here, people investor from L'Oreal, from Hitachi, from all these companies. LG Tech, their CEO, Dong-Soo Kim, been in our event multiple times. So today, closing keynote remarks would be given by someone who really represents this trend. He's from TELUS, which is a big corporate investor from Canada, based in Boston. But this year on LinkedIn, I saw him that they participated, wrote like 10 million plus large checks in health, online health platforms, and things like that. And also, I just saw that yesterday they were part of $1 billion funding. So, really excited to introduce $1 billion man, Rohit Nawal of TELUS to Pitch Global. So, Rohit, welcome. And I hand over the floor back to our CEO, Axel Tillman, former CEO of RVC CVC Fund and Mass Challenge Board member, who's gonna interview Rohit about their investment thesis, especially as pertaining to health. So, floor is yours, Axel
Yeah,
and Rohit.
Rohit, welcome. Tell us a little bit about your history. How did you actually get into the investment scene? I was a serial entrepreneur before I was called to run a $150 million fund. So tell us about your journey and then follow on what's your interest in healthcare?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, first of all, for inviting me, and I'm sorry for joining in late. My journey to the investing world is pretty much accidental. I would say, yeah, as Steve Jobs says, you can connect the dots backwards, not in front. So I never planned to be one. I started my career in the sales and marketing world. I was the brand manager, etc., in large CPG organizations. I have some operating experience, went on to work with consulting firms like BCG. That's where I actually started doing a lot of digital transformation work for our clients and started seeing the real value of data and technology. And I thought like my rest of my career should be on this side of the world, not solving problems for the large corporates necessarily. And irony has its way of coming back. I'm at a big corporate yet, but in a very different world, in the virtual venture capital role within a corporate side. So yeah, I mean, I started the venture investing space with Bertelsmann, which is a German conglomerate in the media side. If you've heard of Penguin Random House, BMG in the music, that's Bertelsmann Music Group.
Yeah.
My joke with the company executives is like it's the biggest media company no one has heard of. But yeah, it was a great experience. I used to invest out of on digital health, media, and ed tech investments. And here in TELUS, I've been focusing mostly on healthcare. I'm a partner here at TELUS Global Ventures. We are a highly strategic corporate VC arm of TELUS Corp. We a little over $1 billion assets under management. We deploy anywhere between 100 and $150 million every year into new and existing investments. Our thesis is how do we sort of find attractive, innovative, high growth companies where we can not only support them with capital, but also commercialization, right? So For example, we in the last couple of years, we've done anywhere between 28 to 30 investments each year. And over 90% of the cases, there is a commercial relationship that the investee company has with TELUS operating businesses, and which is sort of a differentiator, if you will. We are like, in terms of operating businesses in the healthcare world, TELUS Health is one of the largest employer benefit platform globally. So anything that a large self-insured health plan might buy for their employees outside of core health benefits, core health plans, is supported by TELUS Health, including things around mental well-being, physical well-being, and financial well-being. So we have a large distribution platform supporting close to about 170 million lives across the world, across 200 countries. And in Canada, where TELUS sort of is headquartered, we have a much more verticalized healthcare approach where we run the largest EMR out of Canada. So it's like Epic for Canada. We almost 90% of Canadian claims gets adjudicated out of TELUS platform, and including point of sale pharmacy solutions. So we operate in that health data pipe business, I would say, as TELUS operationally. And we partner with companies which can bring intelligence into that pipe or products into that pipe, which can really be a force multiplier from a customer value proposition perspective, and benefits us both in terms of better business that gets driven through our portfolio companies into TELUS. So, for example, we drove close to about $100 million of revenue for TELUS through our portfolio investments by the business that these guys are doing between them. And it has obviously a financial impact from an IRR perspective that I am evaluated on. So that's a little bit about TELUS and myself. Hopefully that covered what you were looking for.
Now, what stages are you interested in? Do you go into seed stage? And below seed stage, I hear more often they call it idea stage. Then there comes the seed stage. Although I always would have thought the idea stage is a seed stage, but
sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Monikers have gone for a toss, right? Like seed, pre-series A, series A. But like technically, we are stage agnostic, right? Like we are strategic. So we can technically incubate innovation. So we invested in this fund called AI Fund by Andrew Ng, who's the sort of professor and very renowned name in the world of machine learning and AI. So he's a GP in that fund. So that fund exclusively works on incubating companies by using proprietary data within corporates. So we are sort of starting a company with us being the anchor within that. But those are more exceptional. On the other extreme, we've done check sizes of $100 million, right? But those are extremes. I would say the sweet spot is more companies with product market fit, $5 to $10 million ARR revenue, because that's where I think the company maturity becomes enough that a large corporate starts working with them in terms of business, etc. Because that's where we struggle with very early stage companies with the commercial connectivity with our operating colleagues. So 10 to 15 million check size is our sweet spot. Series A, Series B is where we are more likely to play.
Okay, that's good information. However, revenue is for health-related companies. Typically, there is no revenue before there is an exit, right? You have clinical trial phase 1, 2, and 3 in all three areas. You have a potential exit already looming. So, and your responsibility is in the health side. What's the threshold there for you beyond clinical phase 1?
Yeah, so we fortunately or unfortunately don't invest in pharma or biotech, right? So that is less of a problem. Of course, in medical device companies where we do choicefully, there there is these kind of challenges that we feel, but again, those are more exception than the rule. In our case, as I said, those form the early stage sort of bets that we make, where the outcomes are the impact is pretty extraordinary, right? For example, we invested in this company called 𝐏𝐫𝐢𝐬𝐬, which essentially is trying to bring the blood testing device at the point of sale, right? So within 10 minutes, with 1/10 of the prick, you could get a blood test report for all the panel almost immediately. And they're going through the FDA approval right now. We seeded them, like we have participated in their seed stage back in the day, and they've come a long way around that. So those are
I'm glad
sort
to hear
of
that this is working out, because the last attempt I heard about was called Theranos, and that didn't go anywhere,
there have
right?
been a lot of false starts and false promises in this space. Hopefully, this one would surprise all of us in a
Perfect.
positive way.
Yeah, I was in due diligence for a company that had 6 blood tests, and Theranos was making all the head news, and I said, we cannot invest. That market will be rolled up 100%, because they also promised at 20 cents to the dollar in cost, which of course never came through. These are the war stories that we can always look back at, right?
Absolutely.
Do you lead, or
we lead in high conviction deals? We are agnostic. We lead. We follow on. In the rounds that I think Casey was referring to, we were leading in those deals, in the digital health company that he mentioned, in the $1 billion investment, we obviously followed on. That was a little more adjacent to what we do in the autonomous vehicle space, but extremely exciting company. We came in along with some very marquee strategics as well.
in your great experience, is there, if I put you on the spot, is there any advice, the top 3 major mistakes that you have seen that entrepreneurs make when they approach you?
I'm hoping there are no entrepreneurs on the call. I think the top 3 mistakes that the entrepreneurs make are as follows, right? Number 1 is the choice of investor they get. And I'm saying that deliberately is because, for example, I might be shooting myself in my foot, but if you are getting a strategic investor very early on in your journey, it's not a good sign. If you're getting an investor which is not which is optimizing for only financial returns all throughout, there are stages when there are more appropriate investors than the others, and one needs to be very choiceful on who they are taking along in that journey, because as we know, some marriages, investment relationships last more than some of the marriages that we know around. So choose your investors wisely. Number 2 is, I think, what entrepreneurs often sort of miss is the inflection point in their journey, and that's where sometimes the growth stalls a little bit. What the people and the team that took them from 0 to 1 may not be as appropriate from 10 to 100 or 1 to 10, and switching and sort of playing around with the resources that you have, be it internal and external, is a critical component, right? The plane never goes straight. The pilot needs to always steer it in the right direction, and that metaphor holds true for entrepreneurs as well. So I think you need to course correct. And the last one I would say is which is our advice to very early stage folks: don't come in only for money in this space, because it's a very tough way of making money. Come in here for what impact you want to make in the world. and money is an outcome, right, out of it. Because if you have to just make money, there are other ways of doing it, not entrepreneurship necessarily.
But uh, but yeah, that's fantastic, Rohit. One last thing is that Axel interviewed Uri Stills, who was EVP of Novo Nordisk till recently, and Uri has told us he'll give us guidance for creating a board in Boston, local board. I think you're very well suited also. So because our boards are gonna be CVC heavy, because global CVC networks are very difficult to build, and we have built one on behalf of California government, of which we are a long-term affiliate. So we'll keep you in the loop for that as well. And our friend Sharad, who was on the call for 3 hours, he just left. He said he was LabCorp co-invested in Vital Bio with you.
That's
So
right.
small world. Great. Thank you, Axel. Now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who helped get $650 million from Lighten Batteries, company we are mentoring. Right now, this program from US Exim Bank is giving 20 up to 25 million to pharma and energy battery companies with much less paperwork. And this gentleman was also in our Capitol Hill event for Alliance Indus Foundation, where I was a co-host as the secretary and board member of Alliance Indus. And we also, Lighten also introduced us to the former chair of US Exim Bank, who also was honored in our event. So you can see the participation from DC and other centers of global power, which can really take your startup, accelerate the growth of your startup. So without much ado, we introduce Gabriel Joseph, US Battery Coalition, who will today talk about how pharma and battery companies can get very fast credit from US Exim Bank. And one last thing, what Lighten did is a role model. They took the 650 million and acquired $15 billion of investments of Northvolt, which unfortunately was bankrupt, and they became largest non-Chinese battery company in the world with this funding. So, Gabriel Joseph, floor is yours.
AC and Axel, it's great to be part of this. Gabriel Joseph with the U.S. Battery Assemblers and Manufacturing Coalition. And I know that this event is focusing on pharmaceuticals, but batteries are chemistry. It's one of the things that the United States government is prioritizing these days. And that's just the banner we're using for this. I think everybody knows and can see that we have a transactional government. Just last week, the Department of Interior purchased $1.5 billion in publicly traded stock of a precious rare earth minerals company.
Can you put it into presentation mode? It shows up better.
I am trying right now. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Great. One of the focuses of everything that the government is doing, for lack of a better term, particularly in you're dealing with XM Bank, but also the Department of Interior, Department of Energy, NIH, and others that I've been dealing with, is energy and pharmaceuticals, but primarily how can we deal with China? If China's involved with something, the United States government is very focused on trying to bring those issues back to America here. One of the things that we found out in working with XM Bank, although we introduced Lighten to XM Bank in October of last year, and by February 6th, they had a letter of commitment, not just a letter of interest, but a letter of commitment to fund them for $650 million to make products in America and export them to other places of the world. And as Casey said, as good businessmen do, as good Silicon Valley companies do, Lighten's located right next to Tesla in Silicon Valley and has taken in over $500 million in investment. They took the fact that on February 6th, when they got this letter, and the focus of the Trump administration right now is that they were able to leverage that with investors. It is very important for them, and I think with any company, that if you can show the support of the United States government for what you're doing, that brings in investment in several different ways. I always like to say there's Fortune 500 and there's Fortune 1, the United States government. But in dealing with Light and XM Bank, one of the things that we discovered is that senior vice presidents at XM can approve funding up to $24,999,000 without board approval, which means that if you complete the application, we walk it through to you, we get it to the appropriate senior vice presidents, including one that heads up a division called Make More in America. You could have your money and your funding extremely quick. So, and we've seen that happen. Lastly, you know, they've already talked about the Lighten situation. Lighten gave up no equity, and this was 1.5% above LIBOR, which is about 5%, when commercial paper right now is going for about 12. These are the focuses, and right now I know that we're focusing on pharmaceutical manufacturing in America. One of the other things is the carbon capture 45X. I and my team were very influential in the big, beautiful bill to be able to make sure that remained, particularly for batteries and other technologies. But, you know, I always use the example of Tesla and how they've used that for their profit center. Let's get to the pharmaceutical industry right now and why I think it is really ripe for these types of investments. And again, I've dealt a lot with the venture world. I've been involved with technology for 40 years, but I've never been involved with something where I can get hundreds of millions of dollars and not have to give up any equity and then have 15 years to pay off. That tech invested in Venezuela, most of which supported by the United States government, because the oil is laying on the ground. You don't need to be like Facebook and create a new small nuclear power system when all you have to do is fix the infrastructure in Venezuela. They have all the water you need. They have a cheap labor force. And the best part about Venezuela is the beaches are the best in the Caribbean, much better than you guys have in Silicon Valley or San Francisco. So you need to look beyond. And a lot of that investment is going to be coming from the government. A lot of that.
So we have comment here. Gabriel, once again, thank you. The comment is that it's just not the startups who are presenting. We have some real leaders from the investing world here, and this presentation is also very much for them because this will get them thinking about their portfolio companies. Some of them are more advanced. So keep an eye on that.
If I can comment on that, Casey, one of the ways that these deals are going is that we're having investors put up $10 million in an escrow account to be able to support the loan that XM is giving to this company, but they're getting paid. If the company's borrowing the money at 4%, they can afford to pay that investor 10%. Okay? And they have 15 years to pay it off. So the investor's giving them a 5-year window. The company's got a 15-year window with XM Bank. It's an easy thing to be able to do. So you don't have to be a publicly traded company to do commercial paper this way. All you need to do is have an interested investor that's willing to put up money in an escrow account that they control, but that they will relate to XM Bank that they're letting use to secure this loan. End of line.
That's great. I think that's a great takeaway from this presentation. That itself will get people here to start thinking. And now we are going to start doing investor intro, but via email, we had promised you, we'll get you connected to Victoria. So let's make that connection and brief background about her. Victoria Shilov, hopefully I got the last name correct, but she's amazing leader from Silicon Valley. Till 5-6 months ago, she headed partnership at Walden, whose founder is now the CEO of Intel. Can't be bigger than that. And few months ago, she joined 𝐏𝐫𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐬, corporate venture capital out of DC. And she was also in our summit, in Alliance Industries Summit in DC, Capitol Hill, where you were there. So Victoria, say hi. And I know she's today not going to talk about their investment theses because they are still working on it, but she's also a global speaker. I see on LinkedIn every month, she's in Slush, Finland. She's in all these conferences. So, Victoria, please say hi.
Great. Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, KC. I'm Victoria Slivkoff. I currently lead the innovation portfolio at 𝐏𝐫𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐬 International, which is one of the world's largest international development company based in DC. It's been around for 50 years and have done work across 160 countries. And as Casey mentioned, most recently, it's been such a pleasure to be one of the early team members at Walden Catalyst Ventures, deep tech VC fund founded by CEO of Intel and former president of Samsung, where I led investor relations ecosystem. So it was a $600 million vehicle investing in semiconductors, AI data infrastructure, industrial robotics, and tech bio across the US, Europe, and Israel. And concurrently, I also ran our firm's innovation platform called Extreme Tech Challenge, supporting founders that are building a better tomorrow. So it's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to getting more connected with the community this year.
Great. Thank you, Victoria. Our next investor is someone. Our events are successful when leaders show up uninvited. So we are really grateful to have the president of Niterra, 𝐼𝐸𝐿, who's a tremendous mentor in the Silicon Valley ecosystem. And he also was in Bayer for over 10 years, and really excited to have such a leader show up. We would have had you interviewed if you had told us before, but oh well, Axel misses the opportunity of interviewing you.
No, he had asked me, but I just came back from Japan, and honestly, I just wanted to participate. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Thank
for
you so
being
much,
here.
Dirk.
Our next investor is a person who has been associated with Pitch Global for quite a while. He was a judge in our Nobel laureate event at JP Morgan before pandemic, where we hosted Dr. Thomas Sudoff of Stanford Medicine and Sanofi board member. This is the person who used to work for venture arm of United Health, and now he works for CVC of LabCorp, and he's based in, I think, North Carolina, where AI head of NIH is also based. So there could be a connect. So Sharad Mishra, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Casey. Hi, everyone. I'm not going to belabor the points, but yes, LabCorp, a couple of other smaller funds. Happy to be here. We invest in seed, Series A and B stage companies, mostly on the diagnostic side. But yeah, would love to hear from any of you if you think there's a fit. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharad. Our next investor is someone who, again, we are associated for a long time. This is the person connected to many angel funds in Silicon Valley, like Harvard Angels, Keiretsu Forum. He's a chairman of US Angels, and also part of a fund which is going IPO now. John Ritchie, really great to have you with us.
Yeah, hi, Casey. Great to be here. I always enjoy being part of it, of these events. Yeah, I run US Angels, which is an angel group that does mostly tech and life sciences, and I also part of K2X Capital. Long story, but basically we are a small fund that's hoping, well, more than hoping, we kind of at the end of the process, we're going to go public in well, I think Q2 of 2026 and list and become a public venture fund. That'll be interesting to get to that point. And K2X invests also in tech and life sciences, but we only invest if there's a lead in the round. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John. By the way, we are big evangelists of finding tech companies who are investing in life sciences. I mean, Niterra is a good example, Hitachi, LG Tech. So today we will have closing remarks by investor from Talos, which is Canadian CVC, which is from tech and climate communication background, but they are investing a lot in health this year. So that would be at the very end, and Axel will do a mini interview. Our next investor is co-chair of Life Sciences of Keiretsu Forum, and that's Dr. Roberta Lee. Always a pleasure having her with us.
Thank you, Kaustav. It's always a pleasure to be here. Just so you know my background, I'm a general surgeon by training, practiced for several years, became an entrepreneur and then an angel investor, and I'm part of the Keiretsu Forum and Life Science Angels.
Great. Thank you, Roberta. In our events, sometimes our investors, they present their companies as well. So later on, Roberta will also present Sanofi, her startup, who has resulted in several investments in our events. He's deal flow chair of Life Sciences Angels, also on the advisory board of Johns Hopkins, and very well-known speaker and investor and intellectual domain expert, Dr. Sami Datwani. Can't thank him enough. So he's going to introduce himself, and then he's going to start. He'll also be the first company presenting. So after that, we'll give the roll call for the other companies as well. So Sami, thank you for being here, and floor is yours.
Thanks, Casey. Great to be here. My background, I have a doctorate in chemical engineering from Johns Hopkins, and like Rachna, pivoted from engineering to working in healthcare space, mostly through early stage innovation and companies making products for the life science tools. Also been part of Life Science Angels for the last 10 years, part of their board, and try to syndicate deals with corporate VCs, other angel groups, and then also find the right homes if the opportunity is big enough for venture capital as well. So great to be here, and thanks everyone for your attention. I'll bring up
start
my
presenting
deck.
your skills. Great.
Yeah.
And thank you for all the help with Savage Bio, Assistive Tech Deck, and so many companies we don't even know, because often we are the last people to know people when they get funding. So floor is yours, Sami.
Thanks again, Casey. So at Prisma, we're raising $10 million. This is a seed prime round, and we're revolutionizing protein sequencing. This is a life science tool. Eventually, we can move towards the clinic. So we believe that we'll have one platform that will dominate digital proteomics, similar to what Illumina did, capturing the DNA sequencing market. And the reason we can do that, we found one probe that can recognize all 20 amino acids and one precise cut technology that allows you to cut the sequence one by one. Proteomics is at the same inflection point that genomics was about 20 years ago. One company won. The company won because they had high accuracy, okay? Proteomics has a bunch of players that are really not capturing the large market potential. We also believe optical sequencing will win. There are other technologies that are focused on Raman, nanopore, and if you look carefully, none of them were successful for DNA, and solving the proteome is a little more challenging. 20 different amino acids, 400 post-translational modifications. We need to be able to identify all of them. We will also have the opportunity to sell our reagents. These are aqueous reagents. So think about Coca-Cola. We're selling mostly water and high margin, and we can create a recurring digital proteome atlas, and we can monetize that. And at that point, we can go into the clinical beachhead market. Looking at zero hypothesis detection of low abundant plasma proteins. This is the team. I've been in the Bay Area for 25 years building life science tools and microfluidics and proteomics products. One IPO, two exits to Danaher, one to Thermo Fisher. I've been part of the leadership of Synthego and LabSite, board of directors for the Society of Lab Automation and Screening, an AMBI fellow, and also won a technology award for the 𝐏𝐫𝐤𝐬𝐸. Craig is an amazing engineer, Harvard-trained undergrad, Berkeley PhD, 10 years at Illumina, and the technology comes out of Boston University. The scientific co-founders, Aaron Beeler. He also started another company called Snapdragon that was sold. We have some amazing advisors. Michael Levitt, Nobel laureate. I reached out to him. He's the first person that did molecular dynamic simulations of proteins. He has a great quote. By capturing the true diversity of proteins, we're moving from static snapshots to dynamic, all-encompassing maps of life. And he believes optical sequencing is the way. George Church also reached out. He sees this as enabling technology, so he's joined as an advisor. Mark Noe I interfaced with when I was building the echo mass spec technology. Mark was the former VP of Discovery Sciences at Pfizer. Bala Manian is a local hero. He actually has an Academy Award for his work with optics and founded several companies as a serial entrepreneur. Great gentleman that really sees the value in the technology. And David Duffy, the former CTO of Quanterix, has digitized immunoassays. We're raising 10 million to build a prototype, optimize the library prep, demonstrate on-surface identification, unlock 3 early customers, drive a pharma collaboration, and then most of the money is going to strategic hires in the Bay Area and building out the prototype. That's it. Thank you so much for your time. Happy to take questions.
We have time for one quick question. Any question from the panel? Otherwise, we will get you speak to you and get you connected with some of the folks. So thank you, Sammy. Stop sharing screen. And we forgot to introduce one of our investors. This is a person who really picked us to be an affiliate of CA government programs almost 10 years ago and changed our lives. And now he moved to Tennessee and developed interest in health. And he's also EIR Health for Vanderbilt. And he's also connected with Stanford Angels. So Jerry Baranano, floor is yours, Jerry.
Thank you very much, KC. Let's continue with our wonderful pitches. Thanks again.
That's great. Thank you. I'm going to give the roll call right now. So the second company is also one of our founding members, Animate Bio, who we expect him to talk a bit about that. Third company is Rejuvenation Tech, Stanford spinout, very, Khosla invested in the early stage. Fourth is Pratika. Fifth is Ligron Bio. Sixth is Sting Therapeutics. Seventh is iBite. Then we have Sonofi. Then we have Actus Ortho. And then at the end, we are going to show the video of Paternox because they are not pitching, but instead they want us to show their video. So on that note, we welcome Animate Bio to share the screen. So, Peter Licari, please start your screen. And Peter is one of our founding members, and that is a way we can, shed extra light to people who we mutually feel are very core into our inner community. So Peter, thanks for being a supporter, and we are putting you in front of everyone in our ecosystem. So floor is yours.
Great. Before I start, I just wanted to say I've worked with Axel and Casey for I'd say 3 to 4 months now. What I really appreciate is the personal attention. Prior to this role, I was CTO for about 20 years at a few companies. So this is a new role for me. And Axel and Casey, I just really appreciate that I can reach out to them. It's a very different feel than other pitch companies per se. The personal attention and always being able to talk to somebody to help is a great asset. So I'll jump into my pitch. My name's Peter 𝐏𝐫𝐢𝐬𝐬, CEO and co-founder of �animate Biosciences. At �animate, we're developing drugs to target inflammation and fibrosis. And I'll explain more in an upcoming slide. The team, I just want to call out the two other co-founders. �薇𝐸𝐬𝐻 is a professor at Harvard, really the world expert on regenerative biology, and I'll explain how that fits into our technology. Jonathan Wolfson it's a busy slide, but I just want to call out, we're looking at a fairly short window. We are targeting a target acquisition in probably 28. And the red circles highlight where we are today. So we expect big inflection in the next year because of our IND acceptance as well as dosing first patient, and then going from 26 to 27, a bigger inflection as we complete phase 1. The funding to date, as I said, we've raised $5 million in safes, and that's really fueled our development program in the initial animal studies. We're now raising $3 million in an open convertible note to get through to first in human. On the convertible note, I think the important points that I want to make are the last two. We do have a lead identified, and we've raised $1 million of the $3 million target. So I'm going to stop there and just summarize quickly, but this is a huge problem. There are no great solutions today. We need to put new technologies forward to solve it. And we're very excited by the data we're seeing with our peptides. And, we feel we've passed key inflection points, but we're really excited about the next year, 2 years. Thank you.
And let us move on to the third company otherwise. So the third company here is Rejuvenation Tech, and person presenting is Glenn Markov. Heard a lot about him over the years, but this is the first time I'm seeing him. So really excited to have Glenn here.
Yeah, glad to see you guys as well. I'm Glenn
You
Markov.
can give a background, 50 seconds. Then you can start the pitch, because we are excited to hear about your background, because we knew your company before.
Great, perfect. Yeah, so as a background, I did my PhD in genetics at Stanford. That's where I met my co-founder, John Ramunis. He was doing his PhD in neuroscience, and we met both very enthusiastic about intervening in the aging process as a way to develop better therapies. We thought that was a big gap in the kind of drug development space. And we were both very excited by the technology John developed while he was at Stanford, which was on the extension of telomeres, a fundamental clock of aging that previously did not have a way to safely extend in a way that would reverse the aging clock in sort of a way that you can prescribe and dose. And so that breakthrough came when we found that the RNA approach was really, really potent, and we filed that IP out of Stanford. Then we were accepted by Y Combinator into their aging program and funded by them and Coastal Ventures and our seed round, and have since then been at Rejuvenation Technologies in Mountain View, California, developing several types of regenerative medicines using the RNA approach to extend telomeres, and that's what I'll talk about. So very excited.
Great. Awesome. All right, now share the screen.
Right, so there you go. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, so the the part of biology we're addressing is the telomeres. They are actually part of our DNA. They're like the little plastic pieces on our shoelaces, the aglets. They form a loop. And it's this DNA that is a countdown of how many times our cells can divide. And those are the telomeres. And when they shorten cells, they start they stop dividing. It's the biggest thing, but they also sort of their function goes down, and then eventually you have disease because if you have enough cells with short telomeres, you can't regenerate your tissues. And why are telomeres so important? It's because telomeres are not only a limit to how many times cells can divide, but they also lead to the other hallmarks of aging. So they're considered a primary hallmark of aging, aging being the biggest risk factor for all chronic diseases in the United States and around the world. And telomeres are considered one of the primary drivers. And that's because when telomeres are short, they actually lead to all the other hallmarks of aging. And the rate of telomere shortening predicts lifespan across different species of mammals and also in humans. And what we believe is that extending telomeres allows cells to regenerate. And cells really are this profound unit in our body that can repair tissues and keep us functioning. And what we found here in the graph on the right is that treatment with RNA encoding telomerase, this is modified RNA with modified nucleotides. This was on human cells in culture. We found can reverse the aging clock by allowing cells to divide a few more times. And you can see here we treated the cells either 1, 2, or 3 times in 48-hour intervals. We found the first at Stanford and then funded by YC and Khosla Ventures. We were able to in-license the IP that was filed out of Stanford exclusively for worldwide use. And then since then, we've been generating data, including using grant funding and private funding to build out our pipeline. In the next 12 to 18 months, we're focused on additional milestones around primate toxicology and a pre-IND meeting, which would enable us to get regulatory approval for an investigator-initiated trial, which is the current most capital-efficient approach to get first-in-human data. So how it works, we use a telomerase RNA that's using modified nucleotides, which are biocompatible, packaged into a lipid nanoparticle with biodegradable lipids. This is all intravenously infused. The effect is very transient. The lipid nanoparticles are cleared within hours, but yet it has a latching effect. So the telomeres are extended on the order of equivalent of years of telomere shortening. And so the kind of visually, you have the lipid nanoparticle in the bloodstream taken up by the cell. Then the RNA escapes from the lipid nanoparticle and gets translated into this protein, which goes into the nucleus where the DNA is and forms that loop at the end of the chromosome. Importantly, this happens while cells are dividing. So we have an amazing leadership team. In addition to the founders, John and I, we have brought on board Dan Chambers, our chief medical officer, who is a professor at University of Queensland at Brisbane and also runs the highest recruiting clinical site in the world for pulmonary fibrosis trials. And Bob Fishman, he led the pivotal pirfenidone trial, which is one of the approved drugs in the US while he was at Intermune. He's a previous CMO at multiple biotechs and many years of experience. And then our 2 lead scientists in our lab, Lucas and Mohammed, are head of bone marrow rejuvenation and hematology, and Mohammed's focuses are on LNP development and new chemistries. And finally, our use of funds for the current round, we're focusing on a clinical trial on 4 to 6 patients. That's the big inflection point. For that, we'll need funds for manufacturing and some of our toxicology studies, and that will be bolstered by existing grant funding and our lead investor in this round, which is Merchant Adventure.
So thank you, everybody, for creating such a unique collective experience. And we are making email intros and to some of the presenters. So look out for them and keep us posted. So once again, thanks and have a great rest of the weekend.